All right, I'm here with the great promoter, Sampson Lewkowicz. How you doing today, Sampson?
Very good. I'm here in Panama. So,
Panama, huh?
yeah, you cannot see my office, and behind me, you see a nice picture.
Beautiful, beautiful.
This is what it is.
Well, let's get right into it. Sabastian Fondura, great win a couple weeks ago. This fight was a fight of the year type of performance. Definitely a candidate for fight of the year. We thought it was going to be a competitive matchup. I knew it was going to be a competitive matchup, but I did not expect it to be as entertaining as it was and have that emphatic ending. What did you think of the fight? And were you surprised about how good the fight was and how great that ending was from Fondora?
Well, I know it will be a tough fight that it was, very competitive like it was, but I feel the same feeling that when I have Sergio Maravilla Martinez fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. when he was in the end of the last round, when he went down. So it was scary moments, but you can show how much, even though he's a young kid, he put a knee before he get to continue have a punish. So which is mean that he's very mature for how many fights he really have.
Okay. Now that fight was for the WBC Super welterweight interim title. Does that make it easier? Does that make it one step closer for him to get the winner of Jamal Charlo versus Brian Castano? Have you talked to Mauricio Sulman at all about that? And what's going on with that situation?
Okay, when I was in Mexico in the last convention, we say that as well as the 154, the super welter, and the the 168, the super middleweight, it was locked up because the fourth title is being taken by Canelo, and this should be four titles taken by Charlo or by Castaño. So, it frees the whole division. And I believe it's unfair when you do already two elimination bouts to have a third one. I mean, how many years we need to wait? It's not like before, like you used to wait years. And sometimes many of the boxers that they never have the opportunity to come to be a champion. So actually, it's like, I would say, it's like the best elimination bout. It can happen the interim title. And now I imagine that will go on May 14. I'm going with Sebastian Fundora to California to see the fight of Charlo and Castaño, and we challenge the winner. Now, if it happened or not it's a different story because you have another three mandatories. One of those is the Australian kid Zhu, which I believe that is already a year or more that is waiting for his opportunity. So let's see what happens.
Who are you rooting for in that fight? Because Charlo already said that he's not too crazy about fighting Sebastian Fondora. I don't know what Castaño's thoughts are, but I think maybe if he wins, you'd be more than likely to have a shot against him instead of Charlo, because Charlo already did not sound too enthusiastic about fighting Fondora.
Well, let me tell you with Charlo. Both brothers, I know him almost from Pro View. I love them, both of them.
Okay.
And I have the most respect for either one. In one point I remember in San Antonio, he said, Sampson, let's do partnership. You'll be, a co-promotion with my company, the Lions company. I said, well, let's think about it, But I like him very much. At the same time, I have a nice relationship with Castaño because it's almost in my country, across the pound, we say. But I believe that it's very, very close fight. It will be, again, a very close fight. So honestly, it's 50-50. I'm so happy that I can take advantage and go with Sebastian Fundora there. Now, if he doesn't want to fight Fundora, most likely we go for another mandatory, and then you need to fight Fundora.
Okay.
So let's wait and see. You know, it's in the end of the day, boxing is a business. You know, so we allow it.
So when you said Sebastian's going to call it the winner, is he going to go in the ring after the fight? I mean, is he going to try to make it kind of like a spectacle a little bit?
No.
No?
Definitely, Sebastian is a nice kid. He will not. He will not do anything like crazy, and very respectable. It's a different kind of champion, I would say.
Gotcha.
But we wait. He'll be there, and maybe who knows who win. Whoever win, you know, at least he knows that he'll be there.
Now, what were your thoughts when you first met Sebastian? This guy's what, 6'6", fighting at what was he fighting at 147 pounds at one point?
No,
Now he's at
154.
He was always at 154.
Yes,
Okay.
he
I heard him say
go,
I heard him say he could make 147, but I wasn't sure if he ever fought.
Oh, he can make 47. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But it be too much. I mean,
yeah.
Already is the tallest fighter ever.
Yeah.
So in the story of boxing. But when I saw it, always I say the story. When the father sent me a picture, Freddy Fundora, I say, I cannot take your son is too fragile. He said, my son is fragile. I say, yes, he's too skinny. I never saw something like this. He told me, you know what? Try me. So I went and I put it in a fight against Victor. If you check, it was in Vegas. Now I forgot the last name. But if you look in the record, you will see with who I'm talking about, an undefeated kid. And after that fight, this kid, he went even to cruiserweight.
Oh, wow.
So imagine how big he was. And he beat the shit out of it. So then I took him, he said, you know what? I know you have many fights in South America. Take my son. Let him feel other and learn from other trainers. That is a good father. So he sent it alone. And he fought in Uruguay, in my country, and he fought in Argentina. And you know what? He beat both of the tough fights. So I said, you know what? I have something.
Wow.
Like an example, with David Benavidez, I realized right away I do have a champion. You know what I mean? It took me a little bit longer. And it will take longer to the people and the fans to know that it's for real.
And both these guys are young, and you pushed them up the ladder quick. How are you able to do that? Get them these opportunities so quickly, because it's not always easy to get these type of situations through the sanctioning bodies, but you were able to do it. It must have been difficult. How were you able to do it so quickly?
Well, if I can tell you how, many people will listen to me and it will do the same. Copy. I don't need copycat.
I got you.
Let me do my job and let them do everyone's job. I cannot teach my business to anyone.
I got you. Fair enough. We won't spill the beans on that one. But now a lot of people don't know about Sebastian's sister, Gabriela Fondura, the 5'9" flyweight. Now, she had a couple fights in the United States, but then recently I think she's been fighting in Mexico, and she had a fight in Panama City. What are your plans for her, and do you plan to bring her back to the States?
Yeah, as soon as possible that I get any opponent, because in her weight division, nobody wants to fight her.
Yeah.
And most likely we need, sometimes now girls is like men's, which I'm very happy in a way, because I was the first promoter, American promoter, that I did 3 championship fights early 2015 when nobody cared about the women's fighting. So I did that, and I'm very proud of that. But I believe with money, everybody will dance. In this moment, it's not the money that these girls want to be. Now we're seeing the other girls that he making a lot of money, so everybody thinks
money.
Yeah. So, but I cannot put that fight in a regular without TV or or small TV. You know, it need to be in a big screen. But I believe that in a way, PVC, that I'm working with PVC, it will see the option that if other network you have girls, I believe that Fundora be the top of all of the girls, or at least it be on the same level like the other girls in a small division, though.
Yeah, because she's tall too. She's 5'9" and fighting at flyweight. That's kind of an anomaly as well too, because most of those girls are like 5'2", 5'3". So she's
She's bigger than me. I'm 5'8".
Yeah, she's tall.
So he's tall, really tall.
Yeah,
And by the way, sister and brother, the same kind of attitude, humble and likable, and always with a smile. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's a pleasure to work with these two human beings.
Yeah, they're both very laid back people, nice and relaxed. Yeah, they don't get too excited. They're not like very aggressive, animated type people. They're not like the Charlos.
Well, if you want to talk about Charlos, let's talk about the others too. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
there's many people that really make noise.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you about a quote, and correct me if I'm wrong. When you were on the Boxing Voice, the whole thing about David Benavidez fighting Demetrius Andrade, and I forget what the question was, but I guess what you said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I want you to clarify this, because this thing kind of got legs, this rumor, right? So what's this whole thing about? I believe that allegedly you said that David Benavidez would not fight Andrade for $7 million. It would have to be more money. Now, clarify that statement for me, if you could.
Surely. First of all, the $7 million come out because it was offered from Eddie Hearn to Charlo.
For Charlo to fight Andre. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not David.
So I would say that Benavidez equal. I don't say that it's better or less, or Charlo will be better than less, but it be about the same. However, I say that if Andrade, you want to fight him, you need to be more than that. You know why? Because it doesn't bring nothing to the table. So it's not about money, because it will never happen, that fight. Especially when the WBO requests to be a mandatory for both interim titles. That is the most stupid thing I ever heard. And honestly, I believe that most likely will knock him out anyway. But at the same time, what he gained, and it will look, I don't think so it will look good fighting a guy that he will run the whatever runs it will be. He will not come and engage like Sabastian Fundora or like David Benavidez. You need to cut the ring and fight him, and it be a lousy fight. So why would I do that? Okay. What do you bring to the table? Nothing. You know, I'm telling you, if Andrade walk in any street, nobody recognizes him. You know, and you bring nothing to the table. I mean, I'm so sorry, but it's what it is. To come to a press conference and misrespect everyone like he did it, he doesn't deserve it. And the only thing good is say Canelo is a horrible fighter. Horrible. So I didn't say that I want the $7 million, because Benavidez will fight him for much less, but it's not a business decision, a good business decision.
Yeah, because
on top of that, Eddie Hearn, he will finish this, with them after this fight, because it's no way to sell it. It doesn't bring nothing, doesn't bring fans, doesn't bring nothing. That is the reason of the $7 million, that it will never happen anyway.
Well, shout out to a young lady in the chat from the Boxing Republic, Nancy, because she just said that David was on a podcast, I believe, the Boxing Rundown. He said he would like to fight Boo Boo. Has he expressed that to you, that he would like to fight Andrade?
Yes.
And you don't think that it's worth it for him to fight Andrade, in your opinion?
Look, Benavidez and his father, he would fight everyone. But in the end, it's business decision.
Okay.
If he pay, and I'm telling you, I don't hear too many people say, I want to see that fight.
Yeah.
Only from Benavidez, because he want to fight someone.
Sure.
The next one, who will be the next one if he beat Lemieux. So
Yeah.
everybody will say maybe Plan, which I agree. Maybe Charlo, that definitely I agree for the people.
Yeah.
I never heard, put it in your web and say, out of the three, Charlo, Boo Boo, and
Plant.
Plan. Put
Yeah.
the three. Let's see
They'll
if
probably
you
say
get,
Charlo. They'll probably say Charlo.
and probably it will get 5%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what people doesn't understand. That
Yeah.
when you have a fighter like Benavidez, you need someone that it make something worth for his resume. And Andrade doesn't make that.
Well, I have to be honest with you. In my humble opinion, out of those three, style-wise, I think Andrade would be the toughest fight, style-wise. I don't know what your
Well,
thoughts on that. I mean, I would still probably favor David, but I think out of all three of them, style-wise, I think Andre would be the toughest fight.
okay, I challenge you to put the three names and see what the people say. Put the three
Okay.
names.
I'll put a poll up after when I get through all these.
One of the three.
When I
and
get
you
through
will
all these
see.
questions with you, I'll put up a poll at the end of the interview, and we'll see what they say. How's
Okay.
that? Yeah.
That is good.
See, I'm not going to just give you softballs. Everyone else is going to just agree with you. Sometimes I have to disagree with you a little bit. That's okay, though.
Good.
That's okay.
I take it like a man.
Exactly. So let's talk about Charlo, because I guess the other rumor, and it was pretty much confirmed, that the $100 million offer, Charlo with Canelo, and I believe, was David supposed to be the second fight? Was that guaranteed, or was that just mentioned? We knew Charlo was supposed to be the first fight, but was David supposed to be the second fight in that $100 million deal?
Okay, to get that, Charlo, he will take a cut, and Benavidez, he take a major cut.
Yeah.
And 45 million it was for the first fight with Charlo.
Okay.
If he's successful, it'd be 55 million versus
David.
And trust me, it will take less than 10% or 10% on that area of the money, which means it's really a bargain, because everyone that he fight, Canelo is 10 million plus.
Okay.
But it's not about the money with David. David, he want the fame. David, he want to be the number one, like he was the youngest super middleweight ever in the history of boxing.
He was, yeah.
A champion,
That's true, yeah. So what are your thoughts on Canelo taking the $160 million deal from DAZN? Some people are critical. They're saying that he took the easier fights. I think Bival's a good fight. I'm not crazy about the Golovkin fight. Let's see who that third fight is. That's the key thing. From a fan's perspective, I don't hate the Bivol fight, but I would have probably liked to see the Charlo and the Benavidez fight more than probably the Bivol fight. But like I said, I don't hate the Bivol fight. What are your thoughts on him taking that deal? Obviously, it's a little bit more money, right? 3 fights, $160 million. But again, from a fan's perspective, I'm not crazy about the Golovkin fight, and I don't know who that third fight is going to be. If it's going to be like Makabu, again, that's a fight I'll watch, but I'm not crazy about it. What do you think about what Canelo did?
I need to clarify that Canelo, I know him from Pro Debut. I know his career, and I sent you several of my fighters that he got beat by Canelo. Canelo will take any fight. He doesn't care if it's Benavidez, if it's Charlo. He will take any fight because he have a big Mexican pantalones. Who doesn't take that is Eddie Reynoso. He have a golden chicken. So why would she take these eggs and give it away? Why would take I agree in the way with them, because if I have in his position, probably I do the same thing. I try to avoid any danger, especially a red flag. He doesn't want to swim on a red flag waters.
Yeah.
So that is the answer.
Yeah.
Most likely it will never happen, by the way.
What, David versus Canelo? You don't think that's ever going to happen?
No, Reynoso will not allow to go on the
I don't
water
know about that.
Well,
I don't know
I'm telling you.
that. Wow, that's a bold prediction.
If $100 million, it was not good enough. And by the way, everybody talking about 160 million. It's not precisely the truth. That
Yeah,
is not true.
yeah, I question it too because the zone has restructured deals before with Canelo, and they've restructured the Golovkin deal. So I don't know. These numbers get thrown out there, and sometimes I ask questions and I make phone calls, and there's a lot of
It,
contradicting reports on these numbers. So
it's not 160. Most likely, it's 100 for 3 fights.
okay, okay,
Most likely. Maybe
okay.
I'm wrong, but there's no 160.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's not out of the realm of possibility that you are not right. You know what I mean? You could be right. I've seen, I've called up Bob Arum when they were talking about that $100 million Tyson Fury deal when Tyson Fury first signed the ESPN deal, and I asked him about it, and he said, "What are you talking about? $100 million? I don't know anything about the $100 million." And a lot of these guys, you see it when you go on Twitter. These I'm not going to mention names, but these guys just put these stories out there, and they're not true. These
Yeah,
numbers are fake numbers.
I get used to that.
Yeah, you get
But
used to it.
everybody repeat it. I'm telling you, there's no 160. It
Yeah.
can be, it cannot be more, and definitely is less.
Okay.
That is the way. So I don't know how much less because I do not have the real answer.
So let's talk about David's fight with David Lemieux. Now, David Lemieux is a big puncher. We all know that. But some people, and even myself, I think maybe he's a little bit past it. But David's got to be on his toes. He can't overlook Lemieux because again, if he loses, then the Canelos go out the window and the Charlos go out the window and the Plants go out the window. So what are your thoughts on this fight? Are you a little nervous because of the punching power? And how's David's mindset going into this fight? Have you talked to David? Is he excited for this fight? Or is he looking forward to the future? Or is he just straight focused on this fight?
I believe he's focused on this fight because one punch can make a big difference and finish a fight. The reason, if I need to choose, I will never choose Lemieux because he's a real puncher. But technically, it's much, much superior. And physically,
Bigger,
David can do this. But he can punch unbelievable. But he was number 1 and number 2 in the WBC. I cannot go to number 3 that I love it to go. So I need to negotiate that it was a really wonderful negotiation. And I make the fight happen because, first of all, he won money that it doesn't exist because everybody is looking Canelo. Everybody thinks that it's worth millions of dollars. So I need to convince him, his management and himself, that it's not, the money that anybody can deserve. Even if he deserves, you don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
And he understood and he took the challenge. And when he took a challenge, I said, oh my God, that is a fight. Because it took much less than he thought about it. And when any boxer, he take much less, about half of what he thought, is coming to fight. And it's coming hard because beating Benavidez, then looking for the $1 million that he was looking before.
Gotcha.
So it's a danger fight.
So David's mentioned about even going up to 175 if he can't get a big fight at 168 next. What are your thoughts on that? And how many more fights at 168 for David? If he doesn't get any big fights, are you going to look to go to 175? Is there a timetable on that?
He's very frustrated. He wants to fight the best all the time, and I cannot deliver. And why I cannot deliver? Because I have the Reynosos and the others that doesn't want to take a chance. But when you have a belt, it's a different story.
Yeah. Even that interim belt's going to carry some weight for him.
Oh, yeah. And when he had the real belt, because he'd be a mandatory for Canelo. So he'd be whole. He'll see what happened with Canelo. Maybe I wish I make a mistake, but to me, it would never happen. But if it happened, it will be 168 because you have no issue to make that weight.
So you can still make 168 comfortably. There's no more issues. So do you think that the Caleb Plant fight is definitely plausible? Obviously, you don't want to look past Lemieux, but if you do get past Lemieux, is the Caleb Plant fight the next fight you're going to probably start trying to go for, or is it going to be the Charlo fight? It's tough with Charlo.
Listen, with a punch like Lemieux, I will never talk about it. I know that
Can't even. Yeah.
David and his father talk. I want to fight this one. I want to fight the other one, but doesn't mean that is that it could happen. So the most important thing is that he's focused in Lemieux and only Lemieux. After the fight, we will challenge probably Canelo because he be the mandatory. And if he want, if he want to put another mandatory that he have on the WBA or the WBO or the IBF, I don't know how many, So then we need to talk about it and see which one. Maybe it be another elimination bout between the two sanction bodies, which I don't believe it would happen, especially with Andrade, because Andrade without a promoter, I don't believe he will get what he wants.
I got a great question for you right now. So say Canelo beats Bivol, then he goes back down to 168, right? And he beats Triple G. So now you got that third fight out there. He says, okay, I'll fight David Benavidez, but David Benavidez has to fight me on DAZN. It could still be a pay-per-view fight, but it has to be on DAZN. What does Sampson Lewkowicz say about that when that offer comes across the table?
That would be an issue, a big one.
Wow.
Because
So
it will not be only my decision. It needs to be the decision of PBC that he invests so much money, because I can tell you that Benavidez for several fights already is 7 figures. He's not a poor man. So
he's a 7-figure fighter right now, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
And he was for
for a while.
Really for a while.
Okay.
So with that in mind, it's a big investment that PBC need to make a decision. And I cannot give him my opinion because everybody say that we are promoters, but really we are not. The promoter is the network. Not only for PBC, for the Zone, or for the ESPN or Showtime, is the one that the executive decide what is a good fight or not for the network.
Yeah.
So we're so-called promoters, but we are not.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the network and the broadcaster or the broadcasting platform. I mean, they have the date, they have the date, they make the decision on if they want to buy the fight or not. And this is why so many of these fights are on pay-per-view, because the networks don't want to do the rights fees. They'd rather say, hey, you know what, we'll put this on pay-per-view, and you guys take care of it. We don't have we don't have this time slot for you, whatever. And that's why I try to tell people why there's so many pay-per-views. Why there's so many pay-per-views? Because the networks don't want to give the fighters and the promoters the time slots. They don't want to give them a date.
No, at the end of the day, you need to advertise and all that to bring the money back and people to buy more Showtime in this case,
sure,
Fox or the Zone, and you cannot sell the house to give it to the fighter.
Yeah.
So if a fighter want to make more money to go to pay-per-view, it be much less people see him, but the income is much bigger.
Sure. Well, I think that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I'm going to put that poll up there, and I'm going to let you know what the results of that poll are.
Yeah, but I want to be sure you don't call all your friends.
All right. No, I won't do that.
Be straight.
I'll be straight with you. You know that.
Thank you.
You know that. All right. Nice. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You be good.
Take care. Bye-bye.